Yeah, absolutely.
Last.
No.
No. Okay.
Nice kitchen.
Nice kitchen. Yeah, I thought so. Can we have a tour of your house?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, so we just moved summer. That's July. So we're on a little 4-acre lake or retention pond, which is kind of neat. So since you asked for the tour, I'm going to show you our basement because my wife told me if I wanted another aquarium, buy her new house.
So you did.
Oh, wow. 3 of them.
So
4 of them.
those are 1, 2, 3,
Oh my goodness.
4, 5, 6. But then in here are the big aquariums.
Oh
Are
my
they fresh?
word.
Is that where you get your fish to cook or what?
It is. It is. Yeah, we're gonna eat this guy. So, but no. So Lamita and I went to Vegas for a conference, and we went to that manufacturer, that TV show on Animal Planet.
Look at these aquariums. He's got 10 aquariums.
Yeah. So this is a saltwater setup.
You're doing 11 to 1. Dad can take it if he wants, but it looks like he's looking at time.
But it's 2 350-gallon systems.
Good
So they're-
grief.
So they're mounted in the wall.
Father.
The lights are off right now.
Where's
But that's what they look like from this side. So the builder
Oh, in the wall.
The builder was an acoustical engineer, and this was his basement office showroom. So he built auditoriums, or did the acoustics for auditoriums. So we got a stainless steel baffle, the ceiling, these acoustical tiles, and the walls. So it's acoustical, fiberboard. But no, yeah. So that's the mini tour.
Nice music.
Wow.
Eric, do you have a backup generator for all the electrical equipment the aquariums need?
It's prohibitively expensive, Mary. No, I was joking with Lamita last night because we did lose power for 6 hours.
Yeah.
And
Oh, you're a sous chef.
Hello.
I wanted to see Hank do some cooking. Hank's brisket. We love that place.
Oh, I'm so glad.
At least once a month we're there.
Okay,
I'm
really safe after that. Last night it was crazy.
But no, Mary, to your point about the generator, it'd be like 20 grand.
I'm sure.
That'd be big enough. So, but I was going to say, in 10 years, I've never lost a fish to a power outage. So it's not as big an issue as you would think. They can last, I'd say, 24 hours before you start getting in trouble with having to oxygenate the water. But no, yeah, it definitely makes me constrict whenever that power goes out like last night.
I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I'm pretty excited to watch Eric cook.
Absolutely.
Well, you should try. You should
I
taste
did
it.
all the cutting this morning. I didn't think we needed a Zoom trip to the hospital.
Just say I'd be a lot more excited if I were eating it.
Yeah.
Can you deliver?
Hey, Rob. Great.
Hey, can you hear me?
I'll be back.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, buddy.
Okay, everybody, I think we're ready to get started. If I make introductory comments here. It's a shitload of salt.
Oh, I know.
He's busy.
It's like that
he's
ocean kind of color. It's kind of like what's on the screen right now.
He's busy getting his ingredients going. Taylor, if we can put everybody on mute.
Let's look it up. What's in here?
Yep, I'm working on it now.
Okay. Can everybody hear me okay? If I can get a few thumbs ups. Okay. Well, it is great to see everyone virtually. I have missed all of you, and I think, you know, I joined Kiwanis a long time for the camaraderie, and I've realized more than ever how much I miss it. And I miss seeing you all on a weekly basis, and I miss our club, but I'm confident we will we'll get back to some normalcy sooner than later. And hopefully you're getting the weekly emails from Taylor and weekly babble from me as well. And again, I do miss all of you. A couple announcements before I turn it over to Wolfgang Puck, or excuse me, Eric here. Again, if you'll stay muted during the meeting, particularly Eric's presentation, so we can all hear him without any background noise, that would be great. And we will have time for questions and answers, Eric, if you'll be willing to. Thank you. A couple brief announcements. I know everyone is aware we've canceled the basketball program and the foster and families program in May. We are tentatively canceling all meetings up through early May, and we're going to wait and see. We'll probably make a decision next week about what we're going to do with our May meetings. But again, we had to cancel some of our signature programs, unfortunately, and we'll keep you updated on when our future meetings will be back to a normal schedule here. We do still hope to have our golf outing out at Eagle Creek on Tuesday, June the 16th. So keep that on your calendar, and we'll keep you posted if we're going to have that. We'll also keep you posted if the International Convention will indeed be held here in Indianapolis in the summer. So again, stay tuned to your communication, your weekly emails, and we'll do our best to keep you updated. So I am really excited. We were thinking about interesting ideas, presentations, themes. Stepped up to you. Well, I guess both his aquariums and his kitchen. I don't know if seafood's on the menu. Hopefully not, maybe with what he showed us earlier. But we are honored to introduce Eric, who's going to do a cooking demonstration. He's got a background in the culinary arts. And Eric, I'm going to turn it over to you. And again, really appreciate your time today.
Certainly, yeah. Thanks, Graham. So one of the reasons I went into cooking to begin with was to kind of develop that skill for the rest of my life. You know, growing up in high school and college, the Gen X / millennials had that statistic of 7 different jobs, 7 different type of careers over their life. So watching, you know, my mom cook for 5 kids, which would be 3 full shopping carts of Sam's Club every other week. And then as much as Don was out of town as a naval reservist growing up, one of his real consistent family times was cooking Sunday dinner, you know, grilling outside, steaks, salmon fillets, things like that. So I really have like a lifelong passion, delivering something delicious to your family. And, you know, what else am I going to do in my 20s besides get my 10,000 hours in the kitchen? So the 2 dishes we're going to walk through today really are my go-to favorites to have dishes with approachable number of ingredients, pretty easy prep and service. But like Mary Marsh was kind of joking about taking notes, there are a lot of fundamentals that we'll touch on that may be a little different than how people already cook at home. So we're going to walk through a GG salad and a pasta dish, orecchiette, with broccoli rabe and fennel sausage. So I'm gonna read through the recipe for the GG salad. We'll make that, and then we'll read through the pastas and make that. So the GG salad is from this restaurant, The Palm, which is a national chain founded in the 20s in New York. It's currently being run by third and fourth generations of the owners, of the originators. So as the third generation of my family in our brokerage firm, I really love that insanity of convincing the further generations to commit to keeping the fundamentals strong generation to generation while leaving room for improvisation and modernization. So the Palm restaurant is a premier eatery where celebrities, tourists, and city natives go to eat and be seen enjoying dependably delicious food in heavy proportions. The GG salad is named for the great maestro himself, Gigi Del Maestro, West Hollywood Palm general manager for 27 years. It's 1 pound of green beans, a pound of beefsteak tomatoes, 1 medium onion, and then a shallot red wine vinaigrette with a 1/4 pound of bacon and 6 jumbo shrimp. So I'm gonna have my sous chef camera woman kind of move the laptop around.
There we go.
So in the background, just as we're kind of thinking about the next dish, you can hear the pasta water bubbling away. And even though we're 5 minutes away from kneading it, when we need to sear the sausage, we'll just always have that hot pan kind of ready to go when we need it. So the GG salad has lots of variations as you work around the country to see. You might have avocado in California, hard-boiled egg in Florida, et cetera, et cetera. So with green beans, red onions, shrimp, bacon, tomatoes, you can always find that even during pandemics. So nothing really hard to find. And in this case, we got monster shrimp, which are 8 to 12 of these per pound. So we cooked these this morning in a quart bouillon with water, white wine, lemon, pepper, and we have some of this dried oregano that Lamita and I got in Italy last fall that we now have an occasion to use after 6 months in the pantry. So for the shallot vinaigrette, it is just 1 whole shallot diced up. A standard vinaigrette ratio is 1 part vinegar, 3 parts olive oil. So for the salad, I've got a little bit of romaine in here for a little bit of body, but it's about 1 pound of tomatoes, which we'll use most of those, but not all of them. For green beans. And as boring as it is to talk about kind of fundamentals, when I went to Culinary Institute of America and committed to that 2-year associate degree after I went to Miami for my undergrad, they browbeat these cooking fundamentals into as part of the degree. So with vegetables, when we're blanching vegetables in salted water, if we go back and look at this pot, which is about a 3-gallon or 12-quart stock pot, it's about as full as we can get it without overflowing. And when we're blanching green vegetables, this much water is good for about a handful of green vegetables. So if the water loses its boil, you put in too much. Because the idea is, if we're cooking those green beans for about 3 minutes, you want to lock in that bright green color without overcooking them in kind of tepid water. So lots of salt. So I've already seasoned this water, but again, for this much water, for my taste, it really is about 2 handfuls where it tastes almost like seawater. So in my old restaurant job, we would have 3 rolling tubs of water, 6 baskets each, and I'd go through about 6 pounds of salt for a regular dinner service where I might make 200 orders of pasta. So on the green bean side, just going to the Gigi salad, lots of water, lots of salt, don't lose the boil, and for this, I still like it to be a little crunchy. So a little bit of red onion with a medium dice, and this gets dressed vinaigrette before we'll add the bacon and the shrimp. And to season the vegetables,
Hey Eric, it's Katie. Is there a reason that you dress the salad before adding the bacon and the shrimp?
yeah, so that's a good question, Katie. So you want to keep the bacon crispy. So if you dress the bacon too early, it will get soggy, which is a little less than desirable. And with the shrimp, I think it's more of keeping the integrity of the shrimp. So we'll really just kind of drizzle that. And again, like you can see when you are cooking the shrimp yourself, so I'll get raw shell on shrimp, and it's almost like, it's not necessarily like a sushi, but you can see how it is kind of medium, right? So if you're gonna get beautiful ingredients and cook them yourself, you really are able to cook them to your liking, where I don't like mealy cooked shrimp that were cooked a month ago that you might buy at a butcher stand. But so to your question, Katie, we'll still put a little bit of vinegar on top just so you're kind of seasoning everything. But it is kind of 2 steps where you're kind of dressing the base, you're dressing the garnish, and Katie, to your question about why do you do it in 2 steps, I'd say it's as important that the expensive ingredients are on top and you gotta have that aesthetic as well as the kind of flavor profile component. But so that is the Gigi salad. So shrimp, bacon, green beans, lettuce, in this case, tomato, red onion with a shallot, vinaigrette. So as hearty as this is, this will end up, I mean, besides losing a little bit of crispiness on the bacon, for us, this will be leftovers, shelter at home, quarantine food for 4 days as kind of a snack you can pull out and eat over the course of the day. So we're gonna put this out of the way. And then on to the porchetta. So, oh, certainly. Yeah, so Lamita reminded me we have wine. So with both of these dishes have a little bit of an Italian background. We went for Italian. This is a Chenin Blanc. So it's kind of a soft white, but it's meaty enough to stand up to bacon and shrimp and kind of a robust salad that's almost a meal. So cheers. I will deliver this part if anybody wants to share that. So I'm not going to drink that just yet, but as part of the recipe that we'll send out, we did think through the wine pairings that would make sense to go with that. So on to the porchetta.
Yes.
So when I got my first job in New York, it took about a month to find my first apartment. And once I got settled and, moved out of where I was staying with my cousin, I woke up and I'm like, well, today I'm going to start my job hunt. And it ended up taking me about 24 hours to find the job that ended up treating me well for my 7 or 8 years in New York. So Mario Batali, who's now kind of fallen from graces with the Me Too movement, but from my experience, professional, charismatic, and what you gave him, he gave you. So the first day of training on the pasta station, he said, Eric, if you can't use timers, you can't work here. So we're going to use a dried orecchiette noodle. Nicole and Taylor's, the pasta place in Broadway, makes a fantastic fresh noodle, but I'm not sure if they're even open at this point. So the cook time is 9 to 11 minutes. So we'll set our timer. For 10 minutes. So a lot of these sauces can be that was for Roger. So okay.
Wait 1 second, Eric.
Well, no, certainly. No, just close it out.
It's actually probably best that it did click out.
Hit that link underneath it.
All right.
Yep.
Sorry, we're back.
Well, that was exciting. So,
Again, sorry to keep asking questions, but I feel like I'm curious about that. I thought oil had to hit an open flame to do that. What even caused that, Eric?
I'm okay. Okay.
They want to hear what did you do when that happens, Eric?
Yeah, certainly. So in that case, the pan was too hot and the oil basically lit on fire. So okay, yeah. So looking back at the timer, we've got about 8 minutes left on the orecchiette. We're stirring the noodles, make sure they don't stick together.
You want to tell what you just added? Some garlic.
Yeah.
Sorry, Eric, what are you adding?
No, certainly. It's a little garlic. So we're just trying to get some caramelization on the outside of the sausage. And once we've got a little bit of brown, we'll break it up more into kind of bite-sized pieces. This is our broccoli lob. So similar to the green beans last night, this has just been blanched in salted boiling water for a couple minutes and then shocked in an ice bath. So we'll do a little bit of chili flake, not too much because for the kiddos. And you're starting to develop the sauce a little bit ahead of the noodles going in about 5 minutes. So these recipes from the restaurant industry, fat equals flavor. So one of the reasons food might taste better than you had it at home is because there is a lot of butter, good olive oil, and good cheese that goes into it. So one of the parts of finesse of building a nice pasta sauce is the consistency, where if traditional Midwestern pasta is noodles with red sauce on top, nothing wrong with that, then in Italy, you're dressing the noodle, right? So if I just put in a big tablespoon of butter, pasta water is a nice fundamental. You've got the starch from the noodles that helps thicken the sauce. And since the sausage itself will be a little salty, you will keep a little container of unsalted water just to balance that out. Because when we're doing larger portions, it ends up being a little wetter where you don't want it to seize up as soon as it's done. Yeah, and that is about ready. So you want enough liquid to be able to finish cooking the pasta in the pan. But so if we've got 3 minutes, then we can turn that down just a little bit. So we're going to finish it with some grated cheese. I'm not sure what Yozo's uses, if it's straight Parmesan. In Mario and Lydia's restaurants, we do half Parmesan Reggiano and half Pecorino Romano. So you've got a cow's milk and a sheep's milk with Parmesan Reggiano. It's known for more of a nuttiness, and Pecorino Romano, sheep's milk, is known for a little bit of saltiness. Okay, so when I was cooking at these restaurants, if anything, they wanted too much pepper and right on that cusp of too much salt. So that's a little bit where the Pecorino Romano comes from, making sure everything tastes seasoned, and the chili flake, just making sure there always is that balance of salt and pepper. When Lamita and I are shopping, there's always a cheap olive oil for sauteing and salad dressings. And then there's always going to be a premium olive oil as a finishing olive oil. So if I use this to almost burn the house down, then I'll use this as a finishing olive oil to finish the pasta, just to bring out the flavors that they would have really truly more in Italy, where everyone is so hyper proud of their olives, their olive oil, their wines, etc. Yeah, so that still needs another minute. But yeah. Okay, so for that little bit of downtime, this is the wine that Lamita found to pair with orecchiette. So the orecchiette noodle means little ear. So if you can see, it's almost like a little perfect cup for holding a sauce or holding an ingredient. And so it originates from the southeastern part of Italy, Puglia, which is where this Nebbiolo red is from also. So if we can regionally pair things, we'll try to do that. Okay, so since we do have a couple big tablespoons of butter in there, you're really just trying to make sure you keep everything emulsified. Where if it breaks and separates, then you can just add a little bit of water back into that. Yeah, really, so you want it wet enough to be able to give the noodle time to finish cooking. So when we were cooking everything in the restaurant industry, you're really thinking the last minute is going to be finished in the pan. So it will come out tasting a little al dente, which is what you want. We'll get this out of the way. And like I was saying before, a little bit more cheese than you might use at home. Again, we'll just kind of let that kind of subtly cook into the sauce. Nice couple glugs of extra virgin olive oil. And again, just kind of letting it thicken up and letting the noodles finish cooking. And it doesn't have to be a big deal to toss it all around nice and pretty. You can just use your wooden spoon. Again, if it's getting dry, and that is really where the kind of nuance and practice comes into play, where you are almost listening for the dish to tell you it's ready. So we'll just cook off a little bit of that water, let it thicken up just a hair, and it's good to go. And just being careful once you've added the cheese not to overcook it to the point of being stringy. So you can see it start to get that sheen a little bit. I'm not sure if you can, but you want it to have just a little bit of kind of glistening to the dish, which kind of helps when you've got half a stick of butter and a couple ounces of cheese and a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. But and that's really about that minute and a half in the pan, kind of bringing it all together. You want it to be what we'd say homogeneous, where it's kind of cohesive, but not so sticky. So even though, again, we almost lit the house on fire and had a minor emergency, you're able to salvage anything without anybody being the wiser. So I think this looks about perfect. Okay, so I'll call the kids down. All right, Ben and Barbara, you ready?
taste tester number 1, you say hi.
Hi.
Hi. All right, you guys ready to sit down?
Yeah.
Try some delicious food?
Yeah.
Introduce yourselves. All right, gonna finish up here and seeing what Chef Eric Steele is plating and doing.
Hope everybody can hear me over the van, over the vent.
All right, taste tester number 1. Introduce yourself.
Hi, Ren. Okay, so I'm gonna taste this.
Taste tester number 2. Taste tester number 2. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Riley Steele. So like yesterday we had this, and also so it's hot, but it tastes good. So I'm just going to do like the trick that Daddy taught me to like cool it. I'll just have to like circle it, like you have to do this, then like go like blow on it. Okay, that's probably good enough. Yeah, there's about it. Amazing.
As it
Still
is difficult, stir yours a little bit longer.
This is good. I'm intrigued. So.
It's still hot. Okay, you can take your bite yet later.
Okay, so we'll let them taste. And again, so we'll send out the recipe and instructions on Monday. I think Lamita and I are going to have a little bit of this red after burning my eyebrows off. But no, I'll let this go back to Graham. And again, thanks everybody for letting me be the guinea pig on the Zoom meetings. So everybody have a good Thursday.
Thanks.
Very good, Eric.
Thank you, Steele family.
Good job, Lamita.
Good job.
Good job. Hard working with
All right.
Woo. Bon appetit.
Good job.
Hey, next time we're coming over to your house so we can eat too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we were talking about that. I'm sorry. Yeah, so on we did a run through on this Tuesday, and as we were talking about it, once the world gets back to normal, I'm absolutely going to plan on hosting a party at my house in Westfield, just as a, doesn't have to necessarily be a fundraiser, but more just for a fun social opportunity for everybody to get together, where we'll do similar food, but kind of taken down just to maybe no shrimp. Everything, but not $500 worth of shrimp. But just please, everybody, keep that in the back of your mind, that Steele family Kiwanis August party at some point. But no, thanks for reminding me of that, Graham.
All right, Eric, I want to thank you and your family again. I also want to thank you for the dose of humility I got. I've been feeding my family peanut butter and jelly and grilled cheese for the past month, so I certainly need to step up my game. But thank you, Lamita and the family, and I really appreciate it, and we do look forward to the social. Thank you both here. Couple just closing comments. I hope this was a good opportunity for the Kiwanians to connect, so any feedback you've got on these Zoom meetings, please let us know. I want to thank Taylor for setting this up. And Eric, I also wanted to let you know we're going to be making a donation to Teachers Treasures in your name today for your time. So thank you. Next week, by the way, if you have suggestions for these programs, let us know. I think we've got a unique opportunity for some interesting programs and for some things we normally don't have to offer, like Eric and Lamita's Kitchen here. Next week, we've got a very special guest, and I hope we get good attendance because it's going to be my wife. She will be speaking on her specialty, which is sleep. She primarily works on sleep in pediatrics at Riley. So I know everybody has kids and grandkids who sometimes may have sleeping issues. She's going to talk a little about her research next week. And I'd ask everybody to keep it on mute the entire hour so you don't say things about me during our time here. But I want to wish everybody a great week and a great time. I hope you're hanging in there. I know these are very unique circumstances, but I know I'm grateful for the camaraderie that I have with all of you, and enjoy this good weather. Thanks again to Eric and his family, and God bless.
Thanks. Hey, Eric.
Yes, sir.
I just got a question for you about the vinaigrette.
Yeah.
I recently got into doing my own, and I've been using red wine vinegar and olive oil. I like it to be pretty spicy, so a lot of vinegar is good. But I've been using chopped up garlic, and I read somewhere that shallots were, I guess, more traditional in there. I don't think it really matters too much, but which do you put both in?
I agree.
You do one or the other?
In my experience, we use shallots a lot more. I feel like the vinaigrette keeps a little better. Shallots are going to be a lot more mild. And no, I feel like garlic and vinaigrettes is like a little bit more of an American thing, where shallots is more of a French and Italian thing. And to your point about like it a little spicier, a little bit more kind of tangy. Lamita and I were kind of talking about that before today also. I feel like if you're starting to make your own vinaigrettes, do you season it with salt and pepper?
Yeah, I've been doing salt and pepper, and then a little bit of, chopped up garlic, the vinegar oil mix, and then what was the last thing? Oh, a little bit of Dijon mustard.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, so the Dijon mustard helps keep it emulsified. Like we would use very high quality red wine vinegar, where it's not too expensive, but you have $12 a bottle that will last you a year. But then, like for this, I used half vegetable oil and then half really flavorful extra virgin olive oil, where you don't necessarily want spicy olive oil kind of overpowering the flavor of the vinaigrette. But no, yeah, to your point, I'll tend to use shallots more, and I guess that's just kind of personal preference. And I think it helps the vinaigrette maybe keep a little better, where olive oil and garlic can kind of be dangerous. Not really. I mean, it's not the best. It can be a breeding ground for like a kind of bacteria, where it's just one of those weird combinations that if it's out at room temperature, it's just kind of a food safety no. But
I don't know that.
But I mean, I think it's kind of like if it's in your outhouse kind of thing for a month. But no, yeah. Any questions? I mean, I think the lots of water for the green vegetables, maybe a little less of a smoking hot pan when you're sautéing, good cheese, and you're just kind of having fun. Where I appreciate everybody kind of bearing with me with the fire. But no, anybody else have any questions?
I mean, to me, Eric, I've got a question about the fire, because that's like my biggest fear, because I cook all the time. And like what you do in that moment, like you stayed pretty calm. It looks like you just because Lamita kind of panned away, but what did you actually do in that moment to like contain the fire?
I'll cook with a little side towel. So I'd literally just put this towel on top of the saute pan. But so that pan was on there for 30 minutes as I was kind of getting everything ready and making sure that it was ready when I needed it. So if you're cooking a single dish and standing over the stove, I mean, there is an expression where we would say you want to be kind of chained to the stove, where whatever you're doing with some of these dishes, you never want to get more than 3 feet away from the stove. So if you're watching the stove, you put the pan on, they're kind of 2 degrees of heat with olive oil and cooking and sauteing. So if you've got a cold pan with olive oil, there's actually obviously nothing really going on. As you see those first wisps of smoke, like that first degree of the olive oil heating up, that is what you'll use for chicken, fish, pork, okay? Where it will be a little hotter for beef. So that should have just been, when you first see the pan smoke, the olive oil smoke, that's when you would sear that like sausage, for example. So you always want to hear that sizzle to know, like sauteing means, cooking with heat. So it's got to be hot to get that caramelization. Like Lamita and I, it's one of the, after 17 years of Lamita and I being together, I think that's really the only thing I kind of catch her on. If we get a nice piece of tuna and we're going to sear it, it doesn't go into a cold pan because you end up with kind of cat food as it's slowly kind of steaming. There's no crisp, kind of caramelized exterior. But yeah, that hadn't happened to me in a long time. So Lamita would say I haven't been cooking for the family in a long time. So I guess it's karma of the universe. But no, and then if anybody needs a good olive oil, this Olio Verde really is. We use it all the time in New York. At the last restaurant where I worked, I'm not sure if Oyozo's does something similar, where we would have 6 or 7 different finishing olive oils. This is good for salad. This is good for salumi. This is good for a steak, a pork loin, pasta, etc. But if people are vinophiles, like wine fanatics, I think I'm a little bit more of an olive oil fanatic. But no, yeah, when I send these recipes out, if anybody has any questions, I would love to get together and cook with anybody whenever. So nothing, holding anybody back from getting together socially there. But no, does anybody else have any questions? Okay.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. All right, thanks everybody.
Thanks,
Have a
Eric.
good weekend.
Bye.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.